What's going on, guys? My name is Dakota Wint, and this is my podcast, A Place for Humans. And I got some funny stories to tell today. I forgot all about this story, actually. I've been kind of in the music scene since I was really young, about like 14. And the music scene, I mean, kind of like pop punk or like the neo-punk kind of movement, the neo-hardcore movement. Like Warped Tour, like that kind of stuff. You know, like I worked for Warped Tour for 8 years. Before that, you know, it's just kind of what we did when we were younger. We were all really into music, and we would go to the local venue, and just all my friends were in bands, or we would go watch like touring bands. And so this is a funny story. When A Day to Remember was first starting out, when they were touring in a van, they used to come over. When they were in Detroit, they would stay at my house. And so we were all at this show. Where were we at? I forget where we were at. Roseville, I think. Roseville, Michigan. So we were up there watching A Day to Remember perform, because they're from Florida, from Ocala, Florida. And they're huge. They ended up being a huge band, and they were still pretty popular at the time. My friends, all my friends, we were bad kids growing up. And if you watch my earlier podcast, I talk about some of the crazy stories about like growing up and in the area that I grew up in and the friends that I had. And so anytime it's hard to go to a show in like we call it this downriver area. It's sort of like the area just outside of Detroit, and it's hard for bands to play here because they'll either get robbed, I've seen bands get booed off stage. I mean, you can watch all kinds of rappers and bands getting thrown at them on stage. It's really brutal, and I remember there being a fight every single time I would go to a show when I was a kid, and so anyways. We're all hanging out with A Day to Remember. Well, they stayed at my house. This story I'm about to tell you happened like a year after our friendship. So, shit. Sorry about that. If that was loud. So they stayed at my house. 2005, I bet. Maybe not that early. 2008, 2007. They stayed at my house. It was really chill. I didn't even talk to most of the band. I made friends with the drummer pretty well. The old guitar player, he was kind of rude. I remember him being pretty rude. I don't know. I'm not here to shit on A Day to Remember. They're all pretty cool. I was kind of a fanboy, and I was stoked that they were just hanging out with me. So I remember we went to the White Castle by my house, and I don't know, I think about that every time I drive past that White Castle, just because it's funny that A Day to Remember, we sat in that White Castle, and I just remember being like a fanboy, being really stoked out about it. But this isn't the story that I wanted to tell you. This just sounds like I'm confessing my love for some band. But so we were all hanging out. This is about a year later after we all hung out, and we were playing basketball after a show. And the singer of the band, Jeremy, set his phone down and his stuff, set his phone down and whatever. And my friend Jeremy, so there's two Jeremys. There's Jeremy, the singer of A Day to Remember, and my friend Jeremy. My friend Jeremy stole all his stuff that he set down when they were playing basketball. So there was this huge ordeal of they left and then realized their phone was stolen, and then they realized like they were coming to my house to try to figure out where their phone was and if I knew the kid that took it. And we ended up just going to my friend's house, and he was just kind of had to embarrassingly give their phone back, basically. I was really mad, actually. I was really offended he would steal from them like that, because I liked them, you know, I respected them as a band, and like I said, I was a little fanboy. So I was mad at my friend for trying to steal from them like that, and he didn't confront him. My friend didn't confront them face to face. He just put the phone in the mailbox, and they were like, well, they were talking about fighting and stuff like that, of course, obviously, but yeah, they were just like, just put the phone in the mailbox so we can just get on the road. We have to leave. We're on tour, you know? And, yeah, they just pulled up. We all pulled up to his house. They picked me up in their little shitty tour van, and we drove over to my friend's house, and they opened the mailbox, and that was pretty much it. So I don't know. I thought that was a funny story to tell. You know, like I said, I've been on Warped Tour. I worked at Warped Tour for 8 years, maybe not 8 years, 7 years or something. So, I've had a lot of crazy little stories like that in my life. What are some other crazy band stories that I have? I watched the singer. What's that band called? The singer's got red hair. It's like a pop punk band. I think they sing that song "Dear Juliet" or something like that. Is that a song? Let me Google it. "Dear Juliet." I think that's a movie or something. What's that guy's name? Check Yes Juliet, that song. Check Yes Juliet. We the Kings. Yeah, that band. I watched that guy catch his hand on fire once, and also argue with his girlfriend. Or with a girl. I don't know if it was his girlfriend. It could have been his younger mother, for all I know. Yeah, Warped Tour was always full of drama. But I loved it. I love that. It's basically the carnival. It just pop up in a new city every day. For those of you guys that don't know what Warped Tour is kind of this legendary punk rock festival. Eminem was on it. Katy Perry was on it. Who else big? Like Gwen Stefani, Gym Class Heroes, A Day to Remember. That was a good time, man. I remember I made a lot of really great friends in that tour that I still keep in touch with. Like, because the tour's over now. They did 24 years. They went for 24 years, and this summer would be 25, and they're doing some kind of 25th celebration, 4 shows or something like that. And I will be there if anyone lives in New Jersey, in Atlantic City, or if you live near Mountain View, California, which is I think in the Bay near San Francisco. So if you guys live there, I'll be at both those Warped Tour shows. Yeah, what an amazing. It's almost like a cultural phenomenon, you know. Warped Tour was. It was such a presence in music, and it's sad to see it go. But hey, the scene is dead. The scene is dead. We've all turned into hippies. All the emo kids are now happy hippies. So that's what happens. You can only be sad for so long before, you know, I don't know, the flowers bloom or something like that. You know, I've been thinking about something recently. I've been thinking about future technology within the next 10 years, because I feel like technology is moving so quickly lately that, I mean, I think about when I was a kid and how far, like, maybe phones have progressed. I mean, I didn't even really have a phone until, did I have a phone in middle school? I think I probably had a phone in about 8th grade. So, I mean, maybe that's by the time kids get phones now. But I remember, I mean, that was like, you know, I remember playing Snake on my phone or something like that. I feel like I sound like an old person. We didn't have phones back in my day. I used to have a pager. Do you guys remember beepers? Or pagers? Or what else do they call them? I forget what else they call them. I used to have one of those. But yeah, it's just crazy how fast stuff's going. We have virtual reality now. I remember I was playing Sega when I was a kid, or Nintendo. And now we have virtual reality. And that's one of the things I think within the next 10 years, they'll have very good virtual reality. I think they'll actually have like full body virtual reality. Like, you'll put a bodysuit on, and the bodysuit will have pressure points. So if you're playing a game like Call of Duty or something like that, and well, you'll have a gun, and when you shoot the gun, it'll do the kind of whatever, you know, guns do. What's it called? Recoil. It'll jump back and vibrate and stuff like that. And then if you get shot, and literally depending on where you get shot, I think this will be fun. Depending on where you get shot, you'll have sort of pressure points in your bodysuit. So if you get shot, it's like it'll push you right there. and maybe give your body a little jolt. Like it'll, I don't know. But I could see that happening within the next 10 years, and for sure, I feel like gaming will go that direction. Of course it will. And yeah, that'll be exciting. I think I might be a little too old to care by the time it happens, but I think that'll be pretty cool to see. I also think like Alexa, I have an Alexa in my house. And you can actually ask Alexa who I am, and it answers. Isn't that weird? Check this out for those of you guys that have Alexa around you right now. Alexa, who is Dakota Wint? She knows who I am. I don't know how she knows, but I feel like this technology will expand into the full house. It'll be in the entire house. Like you'll just say, it'll be whatever name you want to give it. It'll be whatever voice you want to give it. Did you guys see that Joe Rogan thing? Some kind of artificial intelligence made a conversation of Joe Rogan saying things that he wasn't actually saying. So I think you'll be able to have any kind of voice that you want. You'll be able to have any kind of name that you want, and you'll just be able to talk to your house. Hey, house, turn the hallway light off. Turn the hallway light pink. Turn the bedroom light off. Lock the door. Play this song. What's the answer to number 7? What's 6 times 1? What is the answer to life? You'll be able to ask all these questions. And your house... Alexa's pretty good. Alexa's impressive. And this is the beginning. That's like the introduction of that kind of technology, So it's going to get really interesting, I think. I don't know how far can that go? You'll be talking to your phones and stuff. I mean, we do with Siri and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be interesting. It reminds me of, what's that movie? Iron Man. Doesn't Iron Man talk to his house like that? And maybe that's his suit. But I think you'll be able to communicate with it like that. What are some other things I think will happen in the next 10 years? This is my predictions for the next 10 years. Oh yeah, I got one. You ready? Well, for one, I think cable companies this is the last grasp of the cable companies. That's going to go away. But I think cell phones, maybe cell phone networks won't go away in the next 10 years. But I think definitely in the next 50 years, cell phone networks will go away. But within the next 10 years, I think we will have city-wide Wi-Fi. You'll have just connection. I think cities already have this. I remember I was in Pittsburgh a few years ago, and they had an area that had Wi-Fi. In all the shops you walked through, you had an area Wi-Fi. I think cities will have this. I think it makes sense. And I think through there being citywide Wi-Fi and eventually maybe worldwide Wi-Fi, and this thing that we have worldwide cell service, I think that'll make cell phone service obsolete. And I actually don't know what the difference between cell phone services and Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, you're connecting off a modem from a computer, and cell phone service is connected off of a satellite maybe. But I guess it does the same thing. I don't know what's more efficient, but I think I could see citywide Wi-Fi being a thing soon, within the next 10 years. Some fears I have. I don't know if these fears will come true in the next 10 years, but some fears I have as far as technology progressing and the way that's progressing is, one, the obvious, like robotics being used in war. I guess we already do that with drones and stuff like that, but I mean, did you guys see that Black Mirror? God, I know I'm gonna sound like a lunatic that just sits in his room watching conspiracy videos all day, but there's a show on Netflix called Black Mirror, and there's these dogs. I don't know if you guys, if any of you guys seen this episode, you know what I'm talking about. I know you had a panic attack also, but there's these robotic dogs that charge from the sun and have complete accuracy when killing you, and they have absolutely no hesitation or fear or any kind of the human flaws that we would be confronted with if we were in a situation where we had to kill someone or something. So I think that's going to be scary when people start using when they start using machines instead of people, literally, like in neighborhoods and stuff. And maybe they already do, and I just don't know about it. But yeah, I think that's terrifying, because what happens when we have Alexas, when we have things that are like Alexa that know, that can respond to commands in an intelligent way, because it has the internet as its resource. Basically, it has the collected knowledge of humanity for the past 2,000 years. I don't know, however long we've been jotting down stuff for. So the machines already have the advantage on us, because there's not a human being alive that knows everything that all humans know. But of course, the internet knows all things that humans know, including basically your complete identity. Your complete identity, in the sense that, well, it knows everything you Google, it knows everything you search for, which is the same thing, everything you type to your friends, all the messages you save. And that's a scary thing, because for one, every message you've ever sent is obviously being stored somewhere, because you can go back and you can read your messages on, like, Facebook, for example. So what is to stop a country from hacking into maybe like American cell phone networks and releasing everyone's pictures in their phones, or everyone's, like, maybe they hack the iCloud or something like that, and they release everyone's information, everyone's naked pictures, everyone's weird stuff they're doing, or all their selfies, all the pictures of their food, and all their texts, everything. Everything just a flood and tidal wave of this information just gets released from a foreign government that's just trying to be a little mean, to put it lightly. And I think that would be devastating. That's devastating. Not actually. I think it'd actually be good for humanity eventually. It's like a bad trip, kind of, you know? The bad trips are always the most beneficial. But I think it would be devastating in the sense it would cause civil wars. People would be killing themselves. They would be killing their boyfriends and girlfriends for lying to them. They would be killing all kinds of people for lying to them. They would know. Think about all the politicians. You would know everything all these politicians done and what they got on their phones, and it would just be like The Purge, like that movie, I feel like. And that's a real possibility. Why is that not a possibility? And I feel like none of us think about that. But the thing is that there's no turning back. We're too far in now. And us being this far in, well, us being this far in, I don't know what it means. It means that eventually, well, what would happen? So if all this bad stuff happened where everyone saw you naked because you took some weird naked pictures or something like that, or you put something up your butt and you have put it on video, what would happen if everyone saw this stuff? Well, embarrassment would go away. Uniqueness would be amplified because you would be less embarrassed, because everyone would know who you are. All your secrets would be out in the forefront. I wonder if that would create more artists, and I wonder if that would create more revolutionaries. I think obviously it would create more revolutionaries, right? Because people would know the truth, which would inspire a wave of change. Yeah, that would be interesting. It would be a really good and bad thing. I would actually prefer that kind of war opposed to just humanist drones that are bombing random people around the world. Jesus, it sounds like my house is humming some kind of seance or a spirit into the world. I don't know where that noise is coming from. Okay, so I don't know if I told this story on my podcast before, but when I was in India I was hanging out with Kashi Baba. I've talked about Kashi Baba a lot. Kashi Baba is this Aghori, which is the darker side of Hinduism. They do all kinds of really dark rituals, like meditate on top of dead bodies, or they kind of worship the darker side of things. But they don't really look at it like that. But they do some really freaky stuff, and I've talked about it in a video called, I think I called the video like the modern cannibals of India, because they actually eat dead bodies ritualistically. And it's not like they do it all the time, but they cover themselves in human ash and do all this kind of crazy stuff. So Kashi Baba practices this kind of stuff, and I got to meet him when I was in Varanasi in India. Varanasi is one of the holiest cities in India, and they burn bodies. Probably about 300 bodies a day are being burned. As we speak right now, there are bodies being burned along the riverbanks of the Ganga, the Ganges River, in Varanasi, and they're being lit with a flame that has been lit for 3,000 years. So this is a really sacred spot, sacred site to Hindus. So people really want to be burned here, and a lot of the time families can't afford to burn their families. There's a lot of poverty in India, and sometimes they can't afford. They can't get the wood, because you got to gather the wood to lay the body on, and then catch the body on fire and toss the ashes into the river. And sometimes they can't afford that, so they'll just throw the body into the river. And especially during monsoon season, when I was there, these bodies just get washed up somewhere in, a village downriver or something, or sometimes just on the other side of the river. So Kashi Baba took us to the other side of the river. He was going to try to find a dead body. I don't know what was going to happen. He was going to show us some, this was all for my travel series of Earth. This was all being filmed. I wasn't just out there doing this. So this is going to be in my travel series. It's going to be coming out in late September. Of Earth is what that is called. So be on the lookout for that. I put a lot of money and time and effort into it. So it's going to be the best India series on YouTube, guaranteed. You guys have my word, and I'm a humble guy. So I don't know if humble people proclaim their humbleness, but what were we talking about? We were talking about the Aghori. So Kashi Baba, you'll have to see what happens about the body stuff, but he takes me back across the river, and we're watching the bodies burn. He walks up and he has a newspaper in his hand, and he starts putting the ash into a newspaper. And I'm watching him do this, and he's got this long orange robe on. I watch the back of his robe catch on fire. I'm like, oh, I don't know if you should be collecting that ash, that human ash over there, Kashi Baba. And he gathered it, and he realized he was on fire and kind of freaked out, tapped his fire out, and then walked over to me with a steaming, smoky newspaper filled with human ash and gave it to me. And I carried it with me all around the world. I have it with me in my house now, and I figured it's a sacred thing. They view this as a sacred, and these are not just the Aghori aren't the only people that view this as sacred. All of India, some Buddhists view this land as sacred, this area as sacred, and this ritual as being sacred. Of being burned next to the Ganga, and I think they burn people in India, cremate people in India anyway. They look at death different. It's very morbid and kind of a bit scary to people, in America. So I carry this stuff with me. I keep it on my altar with all my other stuff that I find sacred. Sorry, I just randomly got the hiccups. I'm probably being possessed. That's probably what's happening, actually. But what I was going to say is that my house started making that weird noise, and I got the hiccups, and the dogs just started barking at nothing. I feel like I don't really believe in ghosts, if I'm being completely honest. I believe that there are beings that exist in a different dimension. Absolutely, I think that's probably true. But I don't know if there's dead people hanging out in houses. But I feel like there's people watching me from that part of my bedroom. And that's a weird feeling. Like, I'll be like, oh man, it feels like there's just people staring at me over there. And there was a girl staying the night with me. Her name's Nina. And she had a nightmare of an Indian guy strangling her to death or something like that. And I was like, oh, fuck. That's probably, well, you know, that's probably not the best sign. So, yeah, I don't know. Do ghosts exist? I don't know. Do ghosts exist? I guess they could. I mean, I absolutely think something happens. Your energy definitely goes somewhere. I don't think you haunt people, though, or haunt houses. Why would you haunt a house? A house is essentially wood, you know? I mean, I guess you could argue that they're attached, that it comes from them being so overly attached, so they cling to form here in the material world. But if ghosts were real, I feel like they would be all over the place. Think about how many things have died on this earth. Probably everywhere. Everywhere something has died. I feel like this place would just be swarming with ghosts. So I think ghosts actually are just more so our fears, and they manifest in that way through our imagination. And I mean, that's not to say that who knows what the imagination is, and who knows how much of what we are experiencing now is the imagination. I don't know how much of this is real. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows if ghosts are real? I guess they could be. But, yeah, India's a crazy place. It's a crazy country. And I plan to go back to India in 2 months, actually. It's about to be June now. I'm gonna go to India in August with Steffi Lee and your mate Tom and my friend Clara, some YouTubers. Clara's Spirit Vehicle on YouTube. So we're going to go to India for a month. Well, I'm going to be there for a little bit. I got a lot of work to do there. I can't tell you what it's going to be, but I got a lot of stuff. And I made a promise to myself that I'm going to make 50 videos while I'm in India. So that's basically doing daily vlogs while I'm there. So I got a lot of really interesting stuff coming out of India. We're going to go to... Jeez, guys, sorry for those of you guys. I can hear those dogs barking. I know that can be annoying. But we're going to start in New Delhi. Then we're going to go up into Himachal Pradesh and go back into Malana. For those of you guys that have seen my Malana video, that village in India that grows weed. Well, weed actually grows all over the mountains in the Himalayas, Himalayas, the Himalayan mountains. Weed grows naturally all over. It's actually a beautiful sight in a way because it's just naturally there amongst nature, and it's just kind of beautiful because it's such a taboo thing to see. Where I live, you would never just see weed growing outside unless someone was growing it intentionally. So we're going to go back to that village, and then we're going to shoot to Punjab, and we're going to explore Parvati Valley again and go around Himachal a little bit. Maybe go to Shimla, maybe go to Dharamsala, and then shoot over into Punjab, and then we're going to go to Amritsar. Is that how you say it? Amritsar? And we're going to hang out there for a few days, and then go to Pakistan by foot. There's only one place in India that you can cross by foot into Pakistan. And for those of you guys that don't know geography too well, it goes like India, and Pakistan is directly next to India, and they're both really big, and there's only one, because they don't like each other too much, politics-wise, they don't get along too well, because they fight over Kashmir, but, and there's constant war, like, you know, people getting killed all the time at the border, but you can cross there, and we're going to do that, because there's not too many videos on YouTube of people crossing into Pakistan through India by foot. So, and you actually can't even fly to Pakistan from India. You have to fly into like Dubai first or something like that, or maybe Nepal or Turkey or somewhere way out of the way. So that'll be an interesting thing to do. And then we're gonna hang out in Pakistan for maybe a week, see what's around Pakistan. I think there's this little town or city called Lahore. We're gonna check out Lahore. And then go back into Delhi. I'm going to live in Delhi for a month, working on finishing up the Aghori series. And then going down to Mumbai. And I'm going to make a bunch of videos in Mumbai and Goa, and then go over to Chennai. I got a whole crazy India trip. And the reason I love India is because, for one, it's such a beautiful country, and you get every kind of type of weather. You can get like mountain weather, desert weather, jungle weather, very tropical, beautiful beach weather. India literally has it all. I mean, there's places in India that people would be like kind of shocked if they knew that was actually India. Goa, I mean, is kind of beautifully famous. You know, that's why Goa is so popular. But there's Goa's that's just one area. If you look hard, there's a lot of beautiful things to see there, nature-wise. But I just love Indian culture so much. There's no place like Indian hospitality. I mean, you got American Southern hospitality is really good. Mexican hospitality is really good. But Indian hospitality has this kind of really adorable innocence to it. I don't know how to explain it. And so I guess all they do, you know, every place is very has their thing, but I love the culture in India. It's so colorful. All the women dress so beautiful. They always wear really vibrant colors. I love learning Hindi. I love learning the language. I love all the poetry that comes out of India and all the amazing teachers that have come out of India, like Ramana Maharshi, who says things like inside and outside mean the same thing or nothing at all. Or he says, let come what comes and let go what goes and find what remains. Who you are is the gap in between your thoughts. So let everything go and see what is there. Find out what remains when you drop everything, because you can only lose what isn't you. So Ramana Maharshi said stuff like that. Then you have people like Neem Karoli Baba, who said things like, what's a good Neem Karoli Baba quote? You know, there's a story about Neem Karoli Baba. There was a bunch of Western devotees going to India to meet Neem Karoli Baba back in the 70s and early 70s, maybe late 60s. And they would go to him. I think this was actually Raghu, one of my really good teachers, or one of my really good friends and teacher of mine, Raghu Marcus. I think this was actually Raghu's story. Raghu went to go meet Neem Karoli Baba, and he said, "How do I become enlightened?" And I might mess this story up, but I'm going to do my best. He says, "Baba, how do I become enlightened?" Because this is the first time he met him, and he was like, I don't know, I don't really know how to approach the situation. I guess I'm supposed to ask this kind of question. Like, teach me how to meditate, or how do I become enlightened, or, you know, kind of these generic spiritual questions. He didn't know how to approach it, so he's like, I'll just ask him a question. How do I become enlightened, Mr. Neem Karoli Baba? And he said, meditate like Christ. And he was like, meditate like Christ? For one, I'm pretty sure Raghu's Jewish, so he's like, meditate like Christ. And, okay, so Raghu leaves, and he goes back out, and everyone kind of, is kind of like, what'd he say? You know, kind of everyone goes together because, what kind of wisdom did he give you? There's a bunch of Westerners that flocked to India in this time because of Ram Dass and the whole psychedelic hippie movement, and Neem Karoli Baba attracted a lot of Western hippies. So they all gathered around him. What did he say? And he said, he told me to meditate like Christ. And I'm like, meditate like Christ? Oh my God! It's like, come on, we left America. We're trying to leave our traditions to discover this esoteric, exotic stuff that India has to offer. I don't want to talk about Jesus. Okay. So he says, Ram Dass, go ask Neem Karoli Baba. And what did he ask him? What he meant when he said meditate like Christ? So Neem Karoli Baba, or Ram Dass, goes to Neem Karoli Baba and says, Baba, what did you mean when you said to meditate like Christ? And he opened his mouth as if he was going to say something, and he just closed his eyes, and he sat there, Neem Karoli Baba. And a single tear falls down his eye. And he says, he lost himself in love. He lost himself in love. So that's how you meditate. That's how you become enlightened, I guess. Lose yourself in love. And he used to say, I got that story wrong. So the question was, how do I meditate? meditate like Christ. How do I become enlightened? When someone asked him, Baba, how do I become enlightened? He would say, feed people. So that's the kind of saintlyhood that you're getting out of India, and it's almost simplistically poetic in a way. And it's because we run around like chickens with our heads cut off, trying to just invoke spirituality, to invoke these moments of connection. That's what yoga means. Yoga means connection. We do so much to feel connected, but feed people, clothe people, serve people. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. If you think about it, nature is a collaboration. Everything in nature is in service to each other. You breathe what the trees release. The trees breathe what you release. The bees pollinate the flowers. The fallen, rotten apples feed the bugs. The bugs feed the birds. We're all in service to each other. Humanity is all in service to each other, in the sense that, we've built civilizations. We've built things that are luxurious, or things that are make our lives easier. So yeah, fuck. What was I just talking about? I literally just lost my thought. I was looking at the ground. There's just toothpaste on the ground right there. It made me lose my train of thought. I've been losing my train of thought a lot this podcast. I'm sorry. I'm a little mind foggy today. I'm not sure where it's coming from. I felt like I had a good point just in that little whatever I was talking about. A theory from India that I really appreciate, specifically lately, because naturally you're going to hear a lot of people on YouTube, these spiritual people, talk about Advait. This in Vedanta, this is called Advait, or Advaita, as like Westerners would call it, Advaita, but in Sanskrit it's pronounced Advait. And Advait means not two, or non-dual. It means that the universe is one. That it's not like that's what we were talking about. We were talking about how everything works together. Everything works together. Everything works together. I forgot what the original point was of that, but it was something about everything working together. Everything works together. This is what, like we're talking about the environment working together. Furthermore, these galaxies are working together. The universe is working together. Advait basically says that the universe is this kind of giant creative organism made of energy that's just infinitely flowing into itself, which is true. But the thing is that it can get a little confusing and contradictory, because that conclusion leads you to the realization that ultimately you are God. I think Adi Shankaracharya said Atman is Brahman, and this means that your soul and God are one. That if you remove your ego, you remove your bullshit, you get in contact with your true pure essence. And that true pure essence is the same pure essence in you, and the same pure essence as this thing next to me, and a cat, and a dog, and a bird, and a rock, and a star, because it all comes from the source. The essence of everything is the source, and that source is what we call God, or we call creation. But the thing is that this source is infinitely creating things, you, me, that feel separate. So the conclusion you come to through Advait, what the thing is saying, is that you are God. You are God. You're not this identity that you've lost yourself in. You are God, which is true. It's true. But it's like cut your hand off and grow it back. You can't do that because it's impossible. But whatever the source is, created everything from nothing. Terence McKenna used to have this thing, because the mainstream idea is that there was some kind of Big Bang event. There was a universe the size of a pinhole, all of these kind of... there was a stew the size of a pinhole brewing, and eventually it exploded into the universe. That's what science says. And Terence McKenna says, give us one free miracle and we'll explain the rest. So yeah, give us one free miracle and we'll explain the rest. So the universe is pretty mysterious, but there's an interesting counter to Advait, and it's called Achintya Abheda Bheda Tattva, which means it's that the truth is simultaneously one and separate. So it means, because, okay, when I think of the universe, we're all one. But the universe is infinitely, as far as I can tell, producing things to take the position of being separate as a way to, I don't know, that's how you lose yourself in infinity. Because each individual person alone, each individual human has an infinity inside their head. You know, we are all infinite beings in the sense of creativity and imagination, and you know, that's what the universe is kind of this infinite creative energy. And that's, again, when you get to the source of who we are, that's who we are. So Achintya Abheda Bheda Tattva says that you are, oh yes, you are one with the universe, but you're simultaneously separate, because the universe is infinitely producing something to be separate. So if there's this infinite dance of this thing infinitely existing, which all things are springing out of, but things are springing out of infinitely, it's a water well that flows forever. It's both one and separate. So I really like that idea because it takes away a lot of my sort of mental blockages I've ever had with the oneness idea, which I've preached and which I believe. I believe everything is one. But this idea transcends that because you're you. You know, I'm me, I'm me and you're you. And even if it's an illusion, I bet you're still going to go to work and eat tomorrow. I bet you're still going to go to sleep. I bet you're still going to wash your body, and you still want love. You still don't want people to hurt you. So this idea that paradoxes can exist, that simultaneous realities can be possible, that we are both one and separate, I find is a beautiful idea. And that's really the essence of Hinduism, is that it's all true. It's all true. You are separate from God. You are God. It's all true. Yeah, and that's the kind of poetry that comes out of India, and I love that kind of stuff. It's very, I think India's, or I guess Asia in general, has some of the best philosophies, some of the most interesting philosophies. You know what New Delhi reminds me of? For those of you guys that live in New Delhi or have been to New Delhi, because the people look kind of ancient. There's temples around. You have a 100-foot Hanuman, you know, a giant monkey god. People are wearing paint on their head, tilak. So there's this sort of tribal kind of vibe still going on. Everyone's doing kind of exotic worships to what we're compared to, what we can, you know, in America. You got cows walking around the street. You got monkeys jumping around. But then you have like a Dairy Queen and a McDonald's. It looks like if you got into a time machine and you just fucking hit every button at once and it just messed up and you just got spit out in India in some alternate dimension where time has just collided into itself and it's both modern and ancient at the same time. And that's why I love New Delhi. And New Delhi's so crazy. It's always got something wild going on. I mean, you could be a pack of dogs messing with a cow in one side, and then you turn your head and you have two tuk-tuk drivers fighting with each other, and then you look to your other side, you have monkeys trying to break into restaurants. It's just like everywhere you look there's something crazy. You look behind you, you have like I said, a giant 8-foot tall monkey statue ripping his chest open. Google that. Google the Hanuman statue in New Delhi. It's an incredibly huge monkey god. I love Hanuman. Hanuman, let me guys tell you about Hanuman for a second. Hanuman, if you break down the Sanskrit, the etymology of the word Hanuman, Hanu means to annihilate or to remove or to destroy. Hanu. And Man means mind. Just like mantra, Man means mind. Tra means to kind of to transcend the mind. Mantra. Hanuman means to annihilate the mind. Hanuman is a monkey because he has complete control of the monkey mind, this animal nature that we all have. He controlled that through pure love, compassion, and devotion to his higher self, his heart. He's controlled his heart, he's controlled his thoughts, he's controlled his mind. He's destroyed his mind into his heart, because inside of his heart, he's got the divine lovers in his heart, Sita and Ram. So he's got love in his heart. And Hanuman, it's a beautiful, I love Hanuman. That's what I'm saying. This is why I love India. The culture is so deep, so beautiful, and it's so just enriching. Things I don't like about India is how they just throw trash everywhere. We'll be walking through the forest, me and some Indian friends, and they'll be eating a bag of chips or something, and they'll just throw it on the ground. And I'll be like, you guys claim this is holy land, but you're just throwing trash on the ground right here. So that's interesting. And then they collect the trash and burn it. All the plastic, they'll just burn it, which makes it very toxic for the air. New Delhi's air is so bad. Especially, I'm always there for Diwali. Diwali's like a huge holiday in India. Oh my God, it gets the air's so thick you can hardly see in front of you in Delhi because they light fireworks for Diwali. They made it illegal, and people still did it. Yeah, it gets really bad. It's like smoking like packs of cigarettes a day, just breathing the air of Delhi. So that's one thing I don't like. I don't like that they think all tourists or white people are rich. I understand it, but you know, I don't like that. I don't like being felt like I don't like being ripped off because they think I have money, and I don't like being treated like that. You know, I just want to be treated like a normal person. I don't like. I guess a lot of women have problems in India. I've had a lot of girls friends have problems in India. It seems kind of like an unsafe place for women to be traveling alone. I don't like that. You know, YouTube is filled with videos. I mean, personally, me, I've never had any issues. I've been in India with girls, and I've never seen any issues when I was with them. But apparently when they're alone, it gets really, can be very overwhelming. And, yeah, I don't like that. I guess that's kind of any country, though, realistically. You know, I feel like India gets a bad rep for that. And it should, if that is a reoccurring thing that happens a lot. But I mean, like, realistically, you hear about that everywhere. I hear every girl I know in America has a story, of a horror story, of guys too, in my local town or wherever, you know. So, I think guys are just fucking stupid primates, basically. So yeah, I don't like that kind of stuff. What else? It's just an amazing country. It's really cheap if you're an American. I really recommend going to India. If you want to discover who you are and be confronted with some situations that are unusual or interesting or something you wouldn't find at home, check out India. And it won't be that expensive, you know. The plane ticket will be the most expensive. I told my friend and subscriber, and she's a Patreon. Oh my God, if you guys could subscribe to my Patreon, I'd be so happy. It would really mean the world to me if you could subscribe to my Patreon, because YouTube, you know, I make a lot of psychedelic content, so I don't make too much money here on YouTube. So if you wanted to support my YouTube channel, you could head over to Patreon, and you get you get these podcasts early. You get all kinds of unedited you get all kinds of nude photos. You get all kinds of unedited raw videos. Especially from Mexico. I uploaded so much stuff from Mexico that you guys will never see on YouTube. You will never see anywhere but my Patreon. And it's like $2, $5, $10, whatever you want to donate, $20, up to like $200, I think. And there might be no limit. I'm not sure if they offer that or not. But Mallory, my friend, I told her I would ask her, or I would answer a question of hers on the podcast. So this is a question from Mallory. Let's see what she has to say. Oh shit! Hold on, real quick. Okay, let's see what you gotta say, Mallory. Oh, I clicked the wrong one. She sent 2 files, and that's the second file.
Hey Dakota, I'm needing guidance on handling the anxiety that comes from knowing that the person you're supposed to be sharing life with is out there feeling the same way you do because of such a strong energetic connection that you share with this person. And I just want to know, how does one handle the anxiety that comes from that loneliness?
So if I understood your question right, is how do you handle the anxiety of knowing that your partner's out there, and maybe like the person that you're supposed to be with is out there, but you guys just both don't know it, but you both know that you're both out there, and you just have this longing for each other, and you just don't even know who you are or where to find each other at? I mean, that's just something that everyone kind of deals with in life, you know? I don't know if, I don't know how to answer that question. I feel that kind of stuff too, you know? I would love to just find the person that you just know, you know? That's a beautiful feeling. If you can find someone where you're just like, damn, I know it. I know that this is the one for me. That's an incredible thing to feel. And I've felt that with a couple people, so I don't know if it's if it's necessarily you're supposed to be with one single person. But then, you know, those I've grown up, and those people have grown up, and I definitely don't think I would be with them now. So I think maybe we have multiple soulmates throughout life that come into our life when we need them to, you know? Because ultimately it's all temporary. So, and I think it's predestined, you know? That's ultimately what I believe in. I think it's all predestined, and I think that if you're meant to find them, then you'll find them. I believe that we're all karmically entangled, even me and you know, and everyone watching this podcast or listening to it. We're all karmically entangled. There's a reason that the universe led to this moment of you hearing this, whether or not it's useful information or not. I mean, we hear bullshit all the time, but there's a reason that it's happening. There's the universe has a domino effect, and all the dominoes have led to this moment, and to this moment, and to this moment, and to this moment. And I can feel a sneeze coming. Hold on. Did that sneeze answer your question? But yeah, so I feel like personally, I think that we have many, everyone is kind of our soulmate in a way, but I guess, I mean, I know you kind of mean romantically. I don't know. How do you find them? I guess you kind of have to you kind of know in your heart what means something to you. Like if you love snowboarding, for example, but you have a job that you don't snowboard at, you have the opportunity to change that, you know. And I know I just said it's all determined, and I believe it is determined, and if you are determined to change it, you will change it. But I think, like, if you want to find someone that's like perfect for you, if you want to find a snow bunny and you're a snowboarder, then you gotta snowboard, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You guys ever meet someone that talks like this? Yeah, me neither, actually, I don't think. Besides that one guy that says, like, LeBron James on that Vine. LeBron James. Alright. Yeah, I don't know. That's a satanic question. Oh yeah, you guys, this shirt I'm wearing, I've never been asked more than any other shirt that I've worn. Where did you get this shirt, is what people ask me. More than any other shirt that have had on. It's a shirt that I wore in my Taking LSD Live on YouTube video. And yep, it's now for sale. You guys, it's been 2 years since I first put it online, and I never sold it. But this is a shirt that well, someone gave it to me, and then I couldn't find it online, so I think someone made it, and then I made this one, which is a replica of the one someone made for me a long time ago. Someone made me this shirt years ago and just gave it to me. And I tried to find a similar one online. I couldn't, so I made this one, and now it's for sale on stayhappystayweird.com. So if you guys would like to buy it, please head over there and buy it. It's a great shirt. One of my favorites, actually. And you can have 15% off for the next 2 weeks only. The code is OHMIES, OHM, because it has the OHM symbol on it, and you guys are my homies. It's OHMIES, 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 and you get 15% off. That only lasts for 2 weeks. So, yeah, I feel like I'm out of it today. So we're going to cut the podcast a little early, I guess, because I'm going to go bang my head against the wall and try to see if I can get something rattling in there. And I have another video to film. So, yeah, I don't know. I've been so overwhelmed lately. I've been diverting my energy into so many different things. I feel like I really just need to like, center myself. That's a good way to put it. I need to center myself. I feel like I'm a wavy line where I really just need to be a line. That's how I've been my whole life, you know. I'm always all over the place. I will start one project, and before I finish that project, I'll have 50 projects started since then. And then I just get too overwhelmed with the first one, so I can't finish the first one. And then I honestly just never finish any of them. And then, yeah, I don't know. And then I just come on this podcast and use it as an excuse to, like a therapy session. So, I love you guys. Make sure to click subscribe. Leave us a positive review over at iTunes. A Place for Humans. I'm getting possessed again. Ba ba da da da. Ba da 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 da. Da 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 da. Oh, here's the second file from Mallory. Where would it go? Oh shit, that's not it. That's someone else. But they titled them the same thing.
I forgot to add at the end, thank you, love you. Yeah.
And we won the podcast with that. Thank you. I love you. StayHappyStayWeird.com, Patreon.com/Dakota Wint, Instagram.com/Dakota Wint. Subscribe. I can't end the podcast with some creepy little Beavis and Butthead laugh. Hold on. You ready? Okay, I guess I can end it with that, actually. Peace out.